Hello, everyone. I'm Yvonne, a children's librarian here at the Manchester City Library, and I would like to welcome you all to Elementary Experiments Fall Edition, or to welcome you back if you were here with us during the summer. Here we will do experiments and activities aimed at elementary grades 1 through 6 with a focus on STEAM, or science, technology, engineering, arts, or math. With the school year starting, we know that everyone has a lot to do, so we decided to post elementary experiments here online and then do them together in person on the very last Tuesday of the month at 3:30 p.m. at the Manchester City Library. So we will be posting 2 elementary experiments, one on the first Tuesday of the month, the second on the third Tuesday of the month, and then on the last Tuesday of the month, we will do both of those in person for everyone who would like to or can attend. So if you want to join us in person, please visit our website and register so that we can make sure that we have enough materials and crafts for everyone who comes. We are going to continue to post here to share our crafts and activities with as many people as possible. But if you are in grades 1 through 6 and you like what you see, remember that we are doing that monthly wrap-up in person on the last Tuesday. So now that we've covered all of that, let's take it in to this week's elementary experiments. Hello everyone, and welcome to our very first elementary experiments video for November. This week we are looking into lights for longer nights. So as the nights continue getting longer as we go into fall and head towards winter, we are going to take some time today to talk about a couple of different kinds of lamps and to make a craft to light up your evenings. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get the supplies we need to get started with our first activity. All right, so our activity today is going to be making a lava lamp. Obviously, it's a little bit different than a lava lamp that you would buy in the store. Ours will not be reusable, but it's still really fun to make and to watch. So what we're going to need is some Alka-Seltzer tablets. We're going to need some oil. We need some water. We're going to need a clear container, like about the size of a glass. And then we have various food coloring right here. As usual, I'm protecting the area that I'm working in. So just in case we have any water spills or anything like that, my tray will hopefully catch that. Okay, so what we need to do first is we need to fill our container about 2/3 of the way with our oil. I'm almost out here, so I have some extra just in case. But so 2/3 is if you had this whole glass and you broke it up obviously into like 3 portions. So we want to fill it up about that far. It's going to be different, of course, depending on the size of the container you have. So just however tall or however wide your container is, you want to fill it up about 2/3 of the way. If you need some help with that, definitely ask. Asking for help is always okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, that's maybe a little bit under 2/3, but I think it's going to work okay for what we're doing. All right, so now we're going to take our water and we're going to fill up about 2 or 3 inches. And now because water is actually heavier than oil, it's going to end up on the bottom. So again, it is going to depend on the size of your glass, how much you can actually put in there. So just use your best judgment or ask others to see how much water they think you should put in there. Okay, so here is mine so far. You can see when I poured the water through the oil, it caused some sort of like bubbles to form. And this is kind of part of the fun of this experiment is just taking your time and watching every step to see how the different liquids and stuff react to each other. The next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and add some of our food coloring. If you want to wait for this to like settle, if you want to watch that happen, that's okay. But we are going to put in our food coloring and then watch as everything settles after that anyway. So it's up to you how much time you want to take, but I just want to show you guys how we go. So here we're going to take this and we put our couple drops. I think I might do a couple different colors. Okay, and as you see, the food coloring, which is water-based, does kind of fall slowly down through. And then we can watch to see what happens when it finally does break through into the water. Like I said, every single step of making these lava lamps is pretty fun. And I think worth the fact that it doesn't keep going forever. All right. All right, so I'm going to give this time to settle. Again, I don't want to mix it up myself. I want to just sort of see how it goes. So let's both observe our experiments, and then once everything has settled down, we will meet back here to continue maybe the funnest part of this activity. All right, so as you can see, almost all of my water has settled to the bottom, and just about all of my food coloring has also dropped down into that bottom section. I could wait a little bit longer just for it to finish settling out, but I'm going to be just the tiniest bit impatient and get this started for all of us here. So what we're going to do next is to grab our Alka-Seltzer tablets, and I have kind of broken mine up. So I just have several different pieces from my tablet so that I can have a little bit more fun. And so what happens is when you put Alka-Seltzer into water, it dissolves. And there's a chemical reaction which releases a gas, and that makes bubbles rise up through a liquid. And so we are going to see what happens when we put that into our homemade lava lamp. All right, I'm going to start it on my covered surface, and I'll hopefully let you guys see it a little bit closer once it gets going. I think you guys can still see through the food coloring my tablet, maybe, but we are getting some bubbles. And if you can see, as the Alka-Seltzer is bubbling and releasing its gas, it's actually bringing up some little beads of water as the gas rises to the top. And then when the gas hits the edge of the oil, the gas is released, and the water then falls back down through the oil in its little beads. I'm going to add a little bit more, because also here's a big piece. See what happens. All right, and one of the reasons why this works is because oil and water are insoluble. That means they will not dissolve when you mix them together, no matter what. And so that's why the water can continually rise and then fall and rise again, and never end up mixing with the oil and making the oil interesting colors. I do also want to say that like reusable liquid motion lamps or lava lamps that you would buy from a store are also insoluble. Like the two different sorts of liquids inside of them won't mix together no matter what. But whereas water is much denser than oil, so if you have the same amount of water and the same amount of oil, the water will actually be heavier, and that's why it sinks to the bottom and stays there. But in a lava lamp that you buy from the store, the sort of lava is a special kind of wax rather than an oil, and it's actually very close to the density of the liquid that it is in. So when heat is applied to the wax, usually from a light in the bottom of the lamp, the heavier liquid absorbs the heat and expands. And as it expands, it becomes less dense and so floats to the top. And then as it reaches the top of the lava lamp that you buy at the store, it cools down and gets denser and heavier, and then will fall back towards the heat source, which is the light. And then it just sort of keeps doing that motion. And this is also why if you do have a lava lamp that you buy from the store, or if you ever see one, be careful. Do not touch it unless it is off and has been off for a while, or you get permission from an adult, because they can get quite hot because it needs that heat to keep the lava lamp going. Anyway, so I can definitely finish up any tablets, the pieces that you have left over. But then when you do decide that you are done having fun with your homemade lava lamp, or you run out of Alka-Seltzer tablets, be sure to ask an adult what is the best way to get rid of the oil that you've used, because sometimes putting oil down the drain is actually bad for the pipes, especially depending on what you use and where you live. So make sure to ask how to clean up this really fun activity. Okay, so that is our first light for our longer nights. Let's move on to our craft, which we will have an actual glowing light when we're done that we can use as the nights get darker faster. So for our craft this week, we are going to be creating a leaf lantern. So if you are able to get to the Manchester City Library shortly after this video goes up, we will have kits available at the Children's Reference Desk. Just ask for the elementary experiments if you are in grades 1 through 6. And we will give one of these to you so that you can go ahead and make it at home. We will also be having kits for everyone who signs up for our in-person elementary experiments, which as usual is going to be the last Tuesday of this month, so the last Tuesday of November. If you are not able to get to the Manchester City Library, you don't live in the area, or perhaps you're just not in the age range, that's okay. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get the things you need to have some fun with us. Okay, so in the kit, we have our instructions, of course, and we also have a piece of parchment paper . And so mine is kind of a brown color. There's also white parchment paper. This would probably also work with wax paper, I'm pretty sure. Really, you just need something that is going to be translucent. So that means that it is, it's not clear like a window pane or like saran wrap, but it does let some light through it. So it's not opaque like a wall or a book, right? So this is just translucent material, and it also is going to help disperse our light across it. and they're gonna look really cool when we're done. Let's see, in the kit, you're also going to have one strip of paper like this, which is going to be the handle. And then you're going to have one LED candle. So one LED candle. Definitely do not use a real candle. It needs to be battery powered. Otherwise, something will catch fire, and we do not want that at all. Okay, there's also going to be this ring here, which is going to be the top of the lantern. And then in the kits, we have this pre-made base for the bottom of our lantern. Now, real quick, I'm going to go over how to make these pre-made pieces, just in case you need to do it your own. So the first thing is actually a bit of math. So our parchment paper, the kind I got, is 15 inches across. And it is just that wide, and that's the easiest way for me to get paper for everyone. So I took that as my starting point, and I wanted to make a lantern that would fit this paper. So I needed to make a circle whose circumference, whose like outside of the circle, was going to be 15 inches or like a little bit smaller than that, so the edges would overlap. So you take your the circumference you want. So if it's 15 inches all the way across, I want the circumference to be no more than 14 inches. So I'll have like a ½ inch of overlap on each side that we could glue together. So the formula for circumference is C, or circumference, equals 2 times pi times the radius. So pi in this instance is going to be 3.14, and I'll put the mathematical formula down here. All right, and this might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but this is a very convenient formula to know. So I'm just going to go through it. So since we already know what we want the whole circumference to be, which is 14, and we want to figure out what the radius would be, and the radius is if you take the middle of our circle and measure to the side, that is going to be the radius. So we want to find out what the radius is so that we can use that to draw our circle. So, if C is 14, then we want to move the 2 and the pi over to the C side, so we end up with all of that equaling the radius. When we bring everything over the equal sign, we're going to have it do the opposite to C that it was doing to R. So in this case, we're going to have, I am using a calculator because I don't want to do math in my head if I don't have to. So we have 14, which is our C, and we're going to divide that by 2, which gives us 7. And then we are going to divide 7 by 3.14, which is what we're using for pi. And that is going to give us 2.229, etc. So we know that then is going to be the radius of our circle. And honestly, we can round that a bit. So I'm just going to find the diameter, which is the line all the way across the circle. So if we multiply that by 2, that means all the way across our circle is going to be 4.45 for the diameter of the circle for our lantern. But that's a little bit messy, so I went ahead and rounded up to 4.5 when I made the circle, and that still gave me enough overlap in our paper that everything worked out. Okay, so that is how to get your base and trace out your circle. To get the rim here, we can just use some cardstock, and I just across the top cut it into inch strips, and then I did put 2 of the strips together. So I marked off, I think I did a 1/4 of an inch across the bottom, and then glue 2 strips together, so it'll give me more than enough space to go all the way around my base. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, then I took some scissors and I cut up to that line that I marked at regular intervals across my paper. Okay, so you see how I cut up to the line. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to, I find it's easiest if you kind of bend this a little bit to start giving it that curve. This will help you go around your base. And then just flip up these little flaps that you've made now and do that all the way down. Okay, and these little flippy stands that you've just made, those are actually going to keep your base from falling out the back of your lantern, and it's also going to be what I ended up, or what you will end up gluing in. So first off, I did make sure it fit correctly by wrapping this around. To get the size correct, and then I knew where to glue the edges together and on these flaps. There we go, set that in nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put glue all the way around these little flaps that we have folded down, and possibly around the edge of our circle. And then we're going to put it in so that those 2 glued sections will touch each other, and that will make the bottom of our lantern. Make sure that the 2, the bottom and the little flaps on the bottom all pressed together nicely. And so that is the bottom for your lantern. You can go ahead and set that aside for a moment, because we still need to make this, which is for the top of the lantern. So take 2 more 1-inch strips from your cardstock, and again we're just going to put a little bit of glue, and we're basically going to do what we did for this ring, but inside, and we're not going to do any cutting on it. So I find that it's actually helpful if it's a little bit smaller than your original ring. So you can measure it just like this and mark where you need to put your glue. Okay, that should go in fine there. All right, and then of course you have 1 more 1-inch strip, which will be the handle when we are done. So that has got us caught up to where our kit is at. One thing you do need to get from home is some leaves, and of course the glue and possibly scissors if you don't have your kit. And even if you do have your kit, scissors can be very helpful just to trim things up and make them neat. Also, I've gotten some leaves from outside. For this craft, we don't need to press them or anything, but we do want to make sure that they are dry. So I picked up some of these leaves, and they were just wet from, the grass and dew and stuff like that. And we don't want to put the wet leaves into our lantern because that's going to like mess with the glue and everything else. But I do have these beautiful fall leaves. I made my test lantern though with some paper cutouts of leaves. So if you don't have good leaves that you can grab in your area, or maybe it's a little bit late, maybe the trees already dropped their leaves, for whatever reason, if you just have pine trees, you can still make our beautiful leaf lantern just by cutting out and or drawing yourself some paper leaves to put in it. Either way, it's going to be beautiful and fun. All right, now I have my leaves. They're all dried. They're ready to go. I'm going to take my parchment paper or whatever you have on hand, and I'm going to fold it up long ways. Because remember, my base has been made to fit some length of this paper, and mine is the 15 inches across the width here. So I'm going to fold it up what I call hot dog style, so it's nice and long. All right, and I'm going to line the edges up here because these are straight, and I'm just going to crease that. Okay, and you guys may be able to see that like the tear on this is not very straight. So I'm going to go ahead and take the scissors that you may or may not need to use, and I am going to trim this down a little bit, which is going to make my lantern shorter, but it's going to make me feel better about it. I could have measured that better, but we're going with it. All right, so once I have that folded and creased, I'm going to unfold it, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out how I want my leaves go on just one half of the paper, because once we have the leaves arranged, we're going to glue them down and then glue the two together, folded over flat. For this, it is nice to have some smaller leaves because then you can have kind of like more leaf shapes in here. And remember that the more leaves you put in, the more light is going to be blocked, because the parchment paper is translucent, but our leaves are more opaque, which means the light isn't really going to go through the leaves, even though it will go through the parchment paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, arrange my leaves, glue them down, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so I have my leaves glued onto my first layer. Now I'm going to add my more glue on top of my leaves, and just around the edges. Okay, now I'm going to fold this over and press everything down. Now you might want to put this under like some heavy books or something, as long as you make sure that that everything is protected from any glue that seeps through. We always want to remember, whenever doing crafts or experiments, to remember our surroundings. Make sure that we don't get anything messy or ruin anything that is too special to be messed up. But you also don't really need to. If you want to continue straight through to the next portion of making our lamp, you totally can. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so the next part is to go ahead and find your base for your lamp. And we're going to go ahead and put our glue on this inside edge. You can definitely you try and use tape or staple or other ways of sticking this together, but I have found that glue works best for me. So feel free to experiment. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my leaves and I'm going to put it into my base. Just so it fits in there, and then I'm going to press it around the edges. I'm going to start from this edge here, which is the outside flap, and I'm going to press around the base in a circle until we get around, and we are going to have some of that overlap here. If we see, this is the edge and this is the other edge. And so we are going to add yet more glue in between these two so that they will stick together. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and take our upper ring, and what's going to happen is it's going to go over this, and it might be, and remember, because we made it a little bit smaller so that just to make sure we would have enough, it might end up gathering a little bit on the inside, and that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and end up pressing that down. So like the bottom, we're going to add our glue on the inside. And when I'm adding glue, I'm adding enough so that it definitely gets on, but I don't want to add too much because then everything is just going to be very wet. Okay. Right now we're going to add our handle. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on both ends. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in. There we go. And of course, the final step is to take our LED candle. Remember, we're not putting flame anywhere near this. No actual fire, because it is all made of paper. And we don't want anything to catch on fire, but we do have our little LEDs in our kit. And we're going to put it inside the little battery operated candle inside of our lantern. And then it is going to glow beautifully through the leaves. Give me 1 second. I'm going to shut off the lights and hopefully you can see it glow a little better. It looks really good even in the light in person, but I don't know that the camera is picking up on that, so give me a second. Alright, I hope that you guys can see the lanterns a little bit better in the lower light. This one here is the one I just made with you guys with my leaves that I picked up from outside. And then this one here is the one I told you about where I just used paper cutouts of these. And as you can see, I think it turned out really pretty as well. So either way you decide to decorate your lantern, or if you decide to decorate it even more creatively, I hope that you have fun with this craft and enjoy it at least a little bit. And then if you want to read or just enjoy the darkness as it falls, you can put this by you to enjoy the glow as the nights get longer. Alright, thank you so much for making this craft with me. Alright, so that is the end of our elementary experiments for this week, the first week in November. Remember, if you are in the area and you are in grades 1 through 6, stop by the Manchester City Library in the children's room and pick up your craft kit. And remember, we will have craft kits and we will do all of the activities from this month together on the last Tuesday of the month in person at the Manchester City Library. If you want to know the other set of crafts and activity that we will be doing on that last Tuesday, then tune back in right here online on the third Tuesday of the month. So the 15th of November is going to be our second video for this month. And then on the 29th of November, that's going to be the last Tuesday, and that's when we're going to meet in person at the Manchester City Library and do all of our activities and crafts in person. So remember those dates, and remember to keep reading. If you liked this theme, then you might want to check out these good books to read in the dark. I have some suggestions at the end of this slide, and also a peek into what we are going to be doing, or at least what our theme is going to be in our next elementary experiments video. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that I will be seeing you in the future, either in person or back here for more videos. All right, everyone. Bye.